Welcome to The Last Letter, the book that gently invites you in with handwritten romance and then emotionally body slams you without warning. This is a story about love, sacrifice, and letters so powerful they could have come with a therapist referral. So grab a coffee, maybe a tissue, and absolutely do not get attached, because Rebecca Yarros certainly didn't want you to. Before we jump back into the story, just a quick moment of honesty. These videos run on caffeine, late nights, and pure chaos, but we love every second of it. If our over-the-top humor and dramatic recaps are your thing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps us keep the madness going and tells YouTube we're not just screaming into the void. Stick around, join the fun, and help our tiny corner of the internet grow. Now, let's get back to it. The story opens quietly, which is romance novel code for brace yourself. Ella is a single mother in Telluride, running a bed and breakfast called Solitude, because subtlety is not invited to this book. She has twins, Colt, energetic and protective, and Maisie, sweet and fragile in that way that already feels emotionally suspicious. Ella's life is busy, exhausting, and emotionally threadbare, which makes it the perfect moment for the plot to introduce letters. Enter Ryan, Ella's brother, serving in a special operations unit overseas. Before deploying, he asks Ella to write to one of his teammates, a man she knows only by his call sign. Chaos, because obviously nothing bad ever happens when someone named Chaos enters your emotional life. The letters begin politely, cautiously, and then, predictably, turn into something deeper. Over months of handwritten correspondence, Ella and Chaos build a connection that is intense, vulnerable, and emotionally intimate without ever seeing each other. No faces, no real names, just trauma, honesty, and long-distance yearning delivered by mail. And because the universe is feeling especially ambitious, this emotional lifeline becomes crucial when Maisie is diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. Chemotherapy, hospital stays, fear layered on top of fear. Ella is drowning, and Chaos becomes her anchor. He listens. He supports. He writes back. A lot. These letters are not casual. They are the thing holding her together while her child fights for her life. Romance blooms in ink and envelopes, and against all better judgment, both of them fall in love. Meanwhile, Ryan and Chaos make plans. When they get leave in January, they'll come to Telluride and help Ella out. There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Everything is lining up just well enough to ensure maximum emotional damage. Then New Year's Eve arrives. Instead of celebrations, Ella gets the call. Ryan has been killed in action. Just like that, her brother is gone. The grief is immediate and devastating, and before she can even process it fully, something else disappears too. The letters. Chaos stops writing completely. No explanation, no goodbye, silence. Given the circumstances, Ella assumes the worst, that Chaos is dead too. The man she fell in love with through letters vanishes from her life the same way he entered it, unseen, unnamed, and now presumed lost. And with that, the book calmly closes its opening act, having successfully bonded the reader to the characters just in time to emotionally shove them off a cliff. Months pass, grief settles into routines, and Ella is doing what she can to survive. Ryan is gone, Chaos is gone, and Maisie is still fighting cancer. Life at Solitude continues because bills, children, and reality don't pause for mourning. Then one day, a man shows up in Telluride with a military posture, emotional restraint issues, and a dog named Havoc. Because apparently this story only accepts names that sound like warnings. This man is Beckett Gentry, and he claims he's there because of Ryan. According to him, Ryan's last wish, communicated to Beckett in a letter, was for the latter to go to Telluride and help Ella out however he can. What Beckett does not say is the very important detail that he is Chaos, the man Ella poured her heart into for months. Instead, he introduces himself as a stranger with a mission and a painfully controlled sense of duty. Naturally, Ella is wary. A mysterious soldier showing up unannounced after her brother's death is not exactly comforting. Beckett stays in a cabin at Solitude, keeping close but not intrusive, helpful without explanation. He fixes things. He helps with the kids. He doesn't push, and slowly, annoyingly, his consistency works. Colt and Maisie bond with him almost immediately because children in books always know things before adults do. Beckett becomes a steady presence, driving Colt to soccer, sitting through hospital visits, stepping in when Ella has to travel for Maisie's treatments. He shows up every time, no grand speeches required. This is where the contrast really starts to sting. The man who once existed only as words on paper is now real, solid, and helpful, and Ella has no idea they are the same person. Beckett, meanwhile, is living in emotional purgatory, fully aware that the woman he loves is grieving both her brother and him, while he stands right in front of her pretending to be someone else. Despite his past as a constantly moving soldier, Beckett begins to settle in Telluride. He gets a job with the mountain search and rescue team, Havoc included, because, yes, The dog is also extremely competent. Roots are forming. Stability is happening. Attraction simmers between Beckett and Ella, acknowledged but deliberately untouched. Beckett refuses to act on it, terrified of ruining the fragile balance he's created. So the story settles into an uneasy calm, shared responsibility, unspoken feelings, and a lie sitting quietly at the center of everything. The letters may be gone, but chaos hasn't disappeared at all. He's just standing in the kitchen, helping with dinner, waiting for the truth to explode. Just when life in Telluride starts to resemble something survivable, the story reminds everyone that hope is a temporary condition. Maisie's chemotherapy stops working. The word remission is nowhere in sight, and the doctor suggests a more aggressive and significantly more expensive treatment. Insurance, of course, refuses to cooperate. Ella is already financially stretched beyond reason, and paying out of pocket simply isn't possible, because nothing says emotional tension like medical bills. Beckett, however, discovers a loophole. He's on disability leave from the military, and his insurance will cover the treatment if Maisie is legally his child. His solution is practical, devastating, and very on brand for a man who equates love with sacrifice. He asks Ella to marry him, not as a romantic gesture, but as a lifeline. Marriage as paperwork. Vows as a medical strategy. Ella refuses. She wants marriage to mean love, not desperation, but she doesn't reject Beckett entirely. Instead, she agrees to let him adopt both twins. It's a compromise that somehow manages to be both generous and heartbreaking. Beckett becomes Colt and Maisie's legal father, signing documents that bind them together permanently, while still refusing to tell Ella the one truth that would explain everything. Once the adoption papers are signed, the emotional restraint finally collapses. Ella and Beckett begin a romantic relationship, built on months of shared hardship and unspoken history. It's tender, intense, and tragically unbalanced because Ella is falling for a man she believes she's just met, while Beckett is loving her twice over, as the woman in front of him and the woman who once wrote him letters addressed to chaos. Naturally, bureaucracy shows up right on schedule. An insurance agent begins investigating the sudden spike in claims tied to Maisie's treatment. He demands proof that Beckett had a relationship with the children before the diagnosis, and suddenly, the lie becomes unsustainable. With no other option, Beckett produces the letters. Ella's letters, written to chaos. The truth detonates instantly. Ella learns that the man she trusted, loved, and relied on emotionally during the worst time of her life never disappeared. He simply stood in front of her and said nothing. Beckett finally explains everything. He reveals that he is chaos and confesses the guilt he's been carrying. On a previous mission, he accidentally killed a child, an event that shattered him completely. Unable to continue, he sat out the next mission. Ryan took his place and was captured and killed. Beckett believes Ryan died because of him. Ella doesn't blame him for her brother's death, but the damage is done. The trust is broken. And love, it turns out, doesn't survive lies this big without consequences. Ella ends the relationship, not with drama, but with finality. Love is still there, but trust is not. And in this book, broken trust doesn't magically repair itself overnight. Beckett leaves Solitude and moves into a house he's been quietly building on the outskirts of town, a detail that lands exactly as intended. Thoughtful, painful, and far too late to fix anything. He keeps his promise to stay in Telluride, even if it means staying at a distance. Time passes. A month later, Colt gets into a fight at school and Beckett is called to pick him up. This is not a coincidence. It's the narrative opening a door. Beckett takes Colt to his house, apologizes for disappearing so suddenly, and does what he's been doing all along, showing up, even when it hurts. When Ella and Maisie arrive to get Colt, Ella realizes Beckett never left town. He didn't run, he didn't retreat, he stayed. Ella still hasn't forgiven the lie, but she allows Beckett back into the twins' lives, not as a romantic partner, yet, but as their father. What follows is months of careful, respectful co-parenting. No grand declarations, no forced reconciliation, just shared responsibility, quiet moments, and a slow rebuilding of trust that feels earned rather than rushed. Then, finally, the miracle arrives. Maisie's tests come back clean. Scan after scan confirms it. She's in remission. The cancer that dominated every decision, every fear, every sleepless night is gone. Relief crashes over everyone at once. And for a brief moment, the world feels generous. That same night, Ella and Beckett reconnect romantically, choosing each other again, not out of desperation, but out of love. Which, of course, is exactly when the book decides to emotionally annihilate everyone. The next morning, the twins go on a school hiking trip. Not dramatic, not suspicious, just a normal day. Shortly after, Beckett gets a search and rescue call from that very trail. He responds with havoc, because that's his job now, saving people in the mountains he's chosen as home. At the site, he learns the truth. Colt, in the process of protecting another child during a landslide, fell from the trail. Beckett and Havoc find him, but it's already too late. Colt's injuries are fatal. In his final moments, Colt tells Beckett he loves him, along with Ella and Maisie. He says he's happy because he finally got a dad. And just like that, the book takes the fragile happiness it allowed for exactly one chapter and destroys it completely. Colt's death shatters what remains of Ella's emotional defenses. There is no soft landing here, no inspirational montage to ease the pain. The grief is heavy, quiet, and permanent in the way only the loss of a child can be. The funeral comes and goes, but nothing feels resolved because this kind of loss doesn't resolve. It settles in and changes everything. Afterward, Ella learns that Beckett has officially quit the military. No more deployments, no more almosts. He's taken a permanent position with the search and rescue team in Telluride, choosing stability over duty, presence over sacrifice. It's a decision that should feel small compared to everything they've lost, but it matters. Beckett is still there, still choosing them, still staying. For Ella, that choice becomes an anchor. Amid the devastation, she realizes something quietly crucial. With Beckett and Maisie, joy is still possible. Not the same joy, not the untouched kind, but something real and hard-earned. Love doesn't erase grief, but it gives it somewhere to exist without destroying everything else. The epilogue jumps forward 5 years because time is the only thing that can create space around this kind of pain. Maisie is cancer-free, healthy, and growing into herself. She visits Colt's grave and talks to him, updating him on her life the way siblings do when one of them had to leave too early. She tells him about school, about the family, about the world continuing without him. Ella and Beckett are still together, still steady, still choosing each other. Their family has grown, now including a younger brother and sister, lives that exist because the story insists on balance, even after devastation. Maisie promises Colt that she'll live enough for both of them, carrying his memory forward rather than letting it freeze her in place. And that was the last letter, a perfectly normal love story that ends with emotional devastation and lifelong trust issues. Don't forget to like the video for emotional support, subscribe if you enjoy being psychologically unprepared for book plots, and hit the bell so YouTube can personally notify you the next time we suffer together. Leave a comment letting everyone know whether this book broke you completely or only ruined your week, and if you're still emotionally stable after reading it. See you next time!